Hello everyone. Thank you for being here with me today. Before we begin, I want to gently share a thought that may feel familiar to you. One day you sit in silence and wonder, what if your life never becomes extraordinary, never shines, never leaves anything behind that people will remember? It did not arrive loudly, not with fear or panic. It whispered gently into your quietest nights, when everything else faded away, when you realized you had tried so hard for so long. Yet the world had never truly paused to notice you or even call your name. You once believed you were meant for something more. That one day you would step out of the crowd and become someone. But time kept moving without asking you, and slowly, those dreams that once burned bright began to dim, quietly fading into something softer, something distant. Your days started repeating in ways that felt almost suffocating. Wake up, work, eat, sleep, and then begin again without change. And somewhere along the way, you forgot who you once dreamed of becoming, back when your heart still believed everything was possible. Sometimes you wonder where you went wrong. Or maybe you were never enough to begin with, never meant for something greater. The questions never truly leave you. They stay, quietly adding weight to your heart as the years continue to pass without answers. You watch others move forward, building lives that seem full of light. They achieve, they shine, they become something visible and admired. And you feel like you are still standing in the same place, as if time has been slower, heavier, and far less forgiving with you. Comparison becomes something silent, yet deeply painful. It does not break you all at once, but slowly, piece by piece, until one night you find yourself wondering if all your effort has meaning, or if you are just walking endlessly without ever truly arriving anywhere. Then one day, you notice an old man sitting quietly by himself. He has nothing that the world would call impressive or successful, yet there is something in his eyes, a calmness so deep, so steady, that it makes you stop and question everything you once believed. You cannot understand how someone so ordinary can look so at peace. There is no regret in his expression, no longing for something more. It feels as if he has accepted life completely, without needing to win, to prove, or to become anything beyond who he already is. And for the first time you begin to question your own definition of success. Maybe being extraordinary was never the only path worth chasing. Maybe there are quieter ways to live, deeper ways to exist, that do not demand attention, yet still hold a meaning far beyond what the world can see. You begin to remember the smallest moments in your life, the times you helped someone without expecting anything in return, the quiet moments when you stayed beside someone in pain, moments no one ever saw, yet somehow they still mattered more than you realized. No one applauded you for those things. No one gave you recognition or rewards for your kindness. Yet those moments existed, touching lives in ways you could never measure, leaving traces you may never see, but that still continue to exist somewhere beyond your awareness. You may never change the entire world, but perhaps you have already changed someone's world in a small, quiet way. And sometimes that one moment, that one presence, can mean more than the biggest achievements people spend their entire lives chasing. You slowly realize that your idea of being extraordinary was never truly yours. It was shaped by expectations, by comparisons, by things you were taught to chase. And in doing so, you forgot that your life already had meaning, even without being seen, even without being celebrated. Some people are meant to shine brightly, but others are meant to bring warmth, to stay quietly present. And without them, without those unseen, gentle presences, the world would feel colder, emptier, and far less human than it appears. Your perspective begins to shift slowly but deeply. Life no longer feels like a race you are losing. Instead, it becomes a journey, one where the only thing that matters is whether you are moving in a way that feels honest and true to yourself. There are still days when your heart feels fragile. Still moments when comparison returns and whispers doubts into your mind. But now you begin to understand. Those feelings are not who you are. They are only passing, like clouds that never stay. You begin to appreciate the simplest parts of life. A warm meal, a quiet afternoon. A moment where your mind finally rests. And you realize these small things do not make you extraordinary, but they heal you in ways that success never could. Gradually, something inside you softens. You begin to understand that happiness is not found in how brightly you shine. It is found in the quiet feeling of being enough. Even when no one is watching, even when nothing extraordinary is happening, you stop fearing the idea of being forgotten, because you realize something more important than being remembered. What truly matters is whether you lived your life honestly, sincerely, in a way that felt real even if no one ever noticed. You may never leave behind a great legacy. No stories told about you. No name remembered by generations. But you lived with kindness. And in a world where kindness is rare, that alone becomes something quietly powerful, something deeply meaningful. You begin to see that meaning is not measured by recognition. It is measured by how you live when no one is watching. In the choices you make, the kindness you show, the honesty you carry. Those are the things that define a life far more than success ever could. Did you live sincerely? Did you love deeply, even when it was difficult? These questions begin to matter more than any achievement, because they reflect who you truly are, beyond everything the world expects you to become. You begin to slow down, not out of defeat, but because you no longer feel the need to chase something that was never yours. And in that slowing down, you finally begin to breathe, to feel life as it is, not as it should be. Your dreams are still there, quietly waiting, but they no longer feel like pressure or expectation. They become something softer, something you can follow gently without fear, without needing them to define your worth or your identity. If one day you achieve something great, you will smile. But if you do not, you will no longer feel empty or incomplete. because you understand now your life was never meant to be measured only by outcomes, but by how you live through every moment. You realize that a good life does not need recognition. It only needs honesty, kindness, and growth. A quiet commitment to becoming better each day. Even if no one sees it, even if no one ever acknowledges the effort you put into simply being a good person. Being ordinary no longer feels like something to fear. Instead, it becomes a space where you can finally exist without pretending. A place where you do not have to perform to impress or to prove anything. Just to be simply and honestly as yourself. A life without brilliance can still be warm. And sometimes it is that warmth that stays with people the longest. Even if they forget your name, they remember how you made them feel. And perhaps that is the kind of light that never truly fades. You begin to understand that light does not need to be blinding. It only needs to be enough to guide you through your darkest moments. Through the days when everything feels uncertain, when you feel lost. And yet, you still keep moving forward. You do not need to be the sun. You can be a small candle that refuses to go out. And in a world full of storms, that quiet persistence, that simple act of staying lit, becomes something deeply powerful, something quietly brave. Some lights are never meant to be seen by everyone. They exist quietly, consistently, without recognition or applause. And yet they still matter, guiding, comforting, and existing in ways that the world may never notice, but still deeply needs. And so, you continue living your life. Not loudly, not brilliantly, not in ways that draw attention, but in a way that is steady, real, and deeply honest. A life that may not stand out, but never feels empty or meaningless. Eventually, the question that once haunted you fades away. Not because you found an answer from the world, but because you no longer need one. You have already found peace within yourself, and that is something no one can take away. If your life never becomes extraordinary, that is okay, because you have lived sincerely, loved deeply, and carried no regret. And in the quietest, most gentle way, your life, though unseen, is still complete, still meaningful, and still beautifully enough.